Hi everyone, we're gonna start a little craft series. We're gonna do a crochet along project where I'm gonna go through step by step. If you don't know how to crochet, no worries. We are gonna go through this step by step and we're gonna make a teddy bear. I've got my pattern printed out right here and it's got a good picture of it. I'll put that in front of the camera. We're gonna make a teddy bear that looks kind of like that. So first, I actually got that pattern online. You can find lots of different crochet patterns online. So first what you're gonna need to start out with is a whole roll of yarn. I'm using Red Heart with Love, which you can get at Walmart. You're also going to need a crochet hook. And depending on how loose or how tight your stitches are, you might wanna use a bigger or smaller hook. So for now, for mine, I'm gonna use my 5mm hook. And you can get these fairly cheap too. They're just kind of made of metal. You'll possibly want a scrap piece of paper and a pen so you can mark the number of rows or rounds that you're on. So if you ever have to pause this and come back to it another time, you know which number or which row you're on. So first we are gonna start with the top of the head. So first we want to do what is called a magic circle, and I'll get into later what a magic circle is called. So one of the things that's easier with crochet is because you'll notice that each ball of yarn has two ends. There's one here and one that tends to stick out of the end. You'll want to pull from there because then you can just pull it right out with ease. So I've got a good length pulled out already. So you're going to hold on to this end right here. And you're going to do a magic circle. So you'll hold onto this end with your fingers, and then around these other two, you're going to pull it behind and make an X. And with the hook of your tool, you're going to go under the first one, grab the second one and pull it under, just like that. Whoops, there's that. And slide your fingers out while you're holding on to the rest of your yarn here. When I hold mine, I tend to go over the pinky and over my pointer finger, just because that's how I feed it through. So now you should have something that looks like this. But we want to kind of fasten this, so you'll grab your piece of yarn and pull it through, just like that. Now once you've got it like this, you'll just pull out that tail, just like that. And now we're going to do what's called single crochet. For those of you who have never crocheted before, a single crochet is we'll go into our loop here, grab the piece of yarn and pull it through. So we've got two loops on our hook. Then we're going to do we're going to yarn over, we're going to go under and grab the yarn that we're feeding from. Whoops, sorry, it's going a little crazy here. Sorry, let me try that again. My yarn's going a little crazy here. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to do a single crochet. We're going to go through the loop here, grab our yarn, pull it up. So we've got two loops, and we're going to yarn over. We're going to go under the yarn that we're feeding from, grab it, and pull through both of these loops. Sorry, mine tend to tighten as I pull it. 1 and 2, just like that. And if you look at the top, you got two loops right there on the top. So that's how it should look. So we're going to do 6 single crochet into this magic circle. So we've already done one. So we'll go 2 in through the loop, grab it and pull it through. And then yarn over and pull through both loops that are on your hook. That's a second single crochet. We're going to go nice and slow for those of you who have never crocheted before. 3, 4, 5, there we go, and 6. So now you'll see that there's these groups of 2 loops on top. It almost kind of looks like if you were braiding. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and that's our little knot holding everything together. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick and put it around my finger so you can see the rest of it. Now it's called a magic circle because this little tail right here, we'll hold on to the rest of it, we'll pull that tail, and it's gonna shrink. So we've got that tiny little opening there. So we'll put our hook back into our loop here. Oops. And pull the end that we're feeding from to tighten that. So now we've got our first round right there is the 6 stitches into the single crochet. So we've got round 1 done. See, just a little tally mark. Our next round, we're going to increase in each stitch. And for those of you who have never crocheted before, this means we are doing 2 single crochets into each stitch. And each stitch, like I said, are those little groups of 2. You see that? Those little groups of 2 loops right there. So we're gonna go under those top loops right there. So there's the first one, and then the second one right there. So we're doing a single crochet, that's the stitch you go into. So 1 single crochet, so loop over or yarn over, pull it through those, and then yarn over again and pull it through the loops on your hook. And there's our first stitch, so we're gonna go in again, yarn over, pull through, and then we've done 1 increase. We're gonna increase all the way around. Now here's where something helpful like a stitch marker would come in handy. You can actually purchase little rings of plastic that are stitch markers, or you can just do what I do and take a small piece of yarn that's a different color. So I'm gonna pull that aside. There's the first stitch and there's the second one, or well, the second stitch and then the first one. We're gonna put our hook in through the first one here, under those 2 loops. And I'm gonna grab my little piece of other different colored yarn, and I'm gonna pull that through. Just like that. So we know that's the first stitch in our second round here. And you can put it in differently and it'll hold whichever, but I've gotten it to hold pretty well doing this. So there's our loop. We're gonna put our hook back in that and tighten it. So we've done 1 increase, and there's the next stitch. We're gonna go in that one, under those 2 loops on the top. Pull it, yarn over and pull it through, and then yarn over and through the 2 loops on our hook. And again, so it's right there. We gotta increase, so in the same stitch. Just like that. So yep, now our 3rd increase from the side here. You just slip your hook right in there. And so what this increasing does, sometimes you'll, as you pull on it, you'll make that hole in the center bigger. All you have to do is just pull on your tail again. Don't pull out your stitch marker, pull on your tail. And that'll tighten right back up. So next stitch, we're gonna increase again. So what this does is it increases the size of our circle, but also increases our number of stitches. So at the end of this round, we're supposed to have 12 stitches. And another little tip for crocheting, especially if you're doing this for the first time, is to always count your stitches at the end of your round. Make sure you've got the same number that you need. And what's nice is with different crochet patterns, they'll usually tell you how many stitches you're aiming for at the end of the round. See, we're on our last increase. Put it through, yarn over and pull back through. My stitches are a little tight, that's why you see me struggling with it. And last one. All right, just like that. And our hole there in the center is a little bit big again, so I'm just gonna yank on our tail, pull that closed. There, that's a little better. So by now, we should have 12 stitches, and I'll actually show you on my pattern real quick. So you'll have what they tell you to do for the row, and then usually the number of stitches you should have at the end there in the parentheses. So like I said, we should have 12 stitches. Go ahead and go through and count them. I just kind of pull that out, and that's our first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So yep. Now, oops, let me go ahead and mark that we've done our second row. All right, so now on our third row, we're going to do 1 single crochet here in our first stitch. And I'm gonna move our marker up. We go in there. So we're doing 1 single crochet in that first stitch, and then we're gonna increase in that next stitch. So we're doing our 2 there. So 1 single crochet and the second. So now we've only worked into 2 stitches, but we've got 3 single crochet. And we're gonna repeat that across the round. So 1 single crochet in the first, and then increase and do 2 in the next. And I'll go a little faster for you. Come on, there it goes. Sometimes I have to fight with. Okay, 1 stitch, because see we did 2 in that one, and then 2 in the next. And you see how if your holes in your stitches are a little too big, like these, then try using a smaller hook. But you don't want to go too small, because otherwise it won't quite look right. And see, now I'm going to pull out some extra yarn. Just did 2. So 1, you go in, yarn over, pull it out of the stitch. Yarn over, pull through both. And then 2 in this one, same thing. Go in the stitch, yarn over, pull out. And now we've got 2 stitches left, which is exactly what we're looking for. So 1, and then increase, just like that. So now if you go through and you count, we should have 18 stitches. And feel free to practice with this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and count them, make sure we got them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yep, we got our 18 stitches, and we're going to mark that we did round number 3. Round number 4 is pretty much the same thing, except now we're going to do 2 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, or 1 single crochet rather in the next 2 stitches. So 1, there it goes, 2. I'm going to move my stitcher back up, or my stitch marker back up into that first one there. Not the second one, but the first one. There we go. So we've got 1 stitch in the next 2, and then we're going to increase again. And we're going to do that throughout the round. Increase. Oops. Grab it. There we go. So we've got 4 stitches. So 1 single crochet, in the next 2 stitches, and then increase, oops, wrong spot, there we go, then increase and then a stitch after that. Pull out some more yarn so I've got a good length to keep going here. So we did an increase, so 1 stitch in the next 2, and increase in the next. And you see as we kind of increase it, it's gonna bowl up a little bit as we start doing the subtle increases. And we can tug on our tail again to make that hole smaller. But it starts to bowl up a little bit. This is how you do round shapes. 1 stitch, another single crochet, and then an increase. 1, 2, 1 stitch, another single stitch, and then an increase. And I think I forgot to mention this before, but if you are left-handed, I greatly apologize, but you can still watch this video and learn to crochet. You just might want to hold it up to a mirror. So I've done 2 there, I did 1 here. 2. Increase 1, increase 2. Ta-da, we're back at the beginning. And we should have 24 stitches, our pattern says. So we're gonna go through and count again real quick. Usually if you've made it all the way around and didn't have any extra stitches left over or didn't have too few, then you know you've done it the right way. You didn't forget a stitch, but we're gonna go ahead and count anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yep, we got the right number of stitches. I'll put that back in and tighten it. And mark that we've done round number 4. We're going to do another slight increase, but this time we're just going to do 3 single crochets, 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then an increase. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go back and move my stitch marker. And if it helps you keep your stitch marker in place, here's another way to do it. I'm going to go back to my first stitch, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to stick my hook through, whoops, stick it through, yarn over the end of that, and pull it through. So then you have less of a chance of just accidentally pulling it out. And it just kind of holds itself in place there. And then as you go, you can just keep putting it into the right stitch. So we did our 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to increase. Kind of get the hang of the pattern here. Stitch 1, stitch 2, stitch 3, and then an increase. 1, and into that same 1, 2, just like that. And we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna go ahead and speed up just a little bit now. Maybe. There we go. Sometimes I go a little too fast for my hook. There's 3, If you hear the creaking, that's probably the table I'm using. 1, 2, 3, increase. One of the things I like to do while I'm crocheting is I like to turn on something in the background, TV, music, not necessarily an audiobook. I have a harder time trying to focus on an audiobook and keep track of my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Almost done. 3, 1, 2. Just like that, and now we're back. Now, one of the nice things with crochet is, say I realized I skipped a stitch or something back here, I needed to go back. You just take out your hook and pull it on out. So I pulled out my increase and then my other 2 single stitches. So then I can just pull the loop back out here. Stick my hook back in. And then keep on going. Because I can see, well, if I wasn't quite keeping track, well, here's my increase, because it looks like there's 2 in there in that 1 stitch. So then this round is 3 single crochet. There's that first one, then 2, 3, and increase. That's just if you ever had to ended up making a mistake and you had to pull it out, now you know how. 2, 3, increase. I'm not too worried about counting my rows or counting my stitches this round, but for those of you who want to count, you should have 30 stitches. And now the next round is we're gonna you can kind of see it's starting to take a bit of a shape, like it's flatter and then it's got corners there. That's okay. Now, if I had a much smaller hook, the corners would be a little more defined and they'd be much tighter knit, but this seems to be all right. All right, so the next round, oops, let me mark that we just did round number 5. Round 5. So round 6, we're gonna basically do the same thing, 4 crochet, or 1 crochet in each of the next 4. And then another increase. So 1, 2, I'm gonna move up my stitch marker. I'm gonna come in through the back here, because now it's on my tail is on the front, and grab it and pull it through. Come on, there it goes. So you can kind of see it's woven in, and you have to pull a little bit harder to yank it out. So I've done 2 stitches. 3, 4, and then an increase right here. 1 and 2. Whoops. I do that all the time, just kind of pull out my loop a little bit. Come on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my increase. I already did 1. I do a second, and we're going to keep doing that through the round. 1, 2, in, yarn over, pull out, yarn over, pull through. That's 3. 4, 5, whoops, sorry, not 5, increase. I'm getting ahead of myself there. So So there's my last increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my next increase, or current increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase 1, increase 2. 1, 2, 3, whoops. See, I didn't quite make it through. My hook slipped out because I was going a little too quick there. I do that all the time. 3, 4, and sometimes I want to make sure I had it. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase. 1, 2, pull more yarn out. 3, 4, and our last stitch right there is an increase. 1 and second in the same. So now you can see it's definitely getting a little bigger. It's got more like corners on it. That's okay. And it kind of bowls out a little bit. If you notice, it kind of looks like a little hat. But after this round, you should have 36 stitches. And we're gonna mark round number 6. So now for the next few rounds, we're done with increases. From round 7 through 14, you'll just do 1 stitch in each of these. We're gonna make it more of a bowl, and that's gonna stand it up. So I'll go ahead and do maybe 7 and 8 for you, round 7 and 8 for you right here. We're just gonna do 1 single crochet in each of these. So I've done 2. I'm gonna stick my hook in through that first one to grab my stitch marker, yarn over and pull it through. Just like that. And then I'm gonna keep going. See, now we're just kind of going right through. But see how, as we're just kind of going around these corners, it'll help round them out a little bit. And instead of making this a wider piece, because the increasing rounds make it wider, the single round, or the rounds where you just do 1 single crochet in each stitch, makes it look more like a bowl, makes it stand up. In through, yarn over again, pull through. And so because we're only doing 1 stitch in each, you should still have 36 stitches at the end of your round. And last one. So that is round number 7. See how now it's kind of standing up a little bit, more like a bowl. So that was round 7. Round number 7. And you're going to keep doing this until you've done round number 14. So you're going to do about 7 more rounds of just this, just 1 stitch in each. So keep it up, keep it going, and we'll see you next time.